And I've been trying to do this series on pain for months, really. And then I got all this pain in my ankle from a fractured ankle, or I don't know, whatever you call it. My wife says it's fractured. I think it's a terrible sprain, but it's a lot of physical pain. And and so I thought I'd use that as an introduction to the idea of pain, because pain is so much bigger than physical pain. There's all kinds of pain, but physical pain, we'll start there. I won't stay there very long, but when you touch an area of your skin, or some area where you get hit with a hammer or something, some sharp object, it pierced you. There's a piercing pain. There's kind of an aching pain. There's kind of a throbbing pain. There's a pain that won't go away, that just lives with you. And then there's sharp pain that's attacking you. And I can't imagine what it was like for, what it's like for women to give birth to a child. But I saw all the pain my wife was in, how she tolerated that. So there's all kinds of ways of describing physical pain. But that wasn't my job as a hospice chaplain. It partly was that there were therapies or treatments or encouragements, things I could do to help people with their physical pain. But I wasn't a medical person. I wasn't medically trained. I was a medical trained chaplain, you might say. But I didn't really have the authority to prescribe or administer or give dosages or any of that stuff. It's a good thing, because I wouldn't know what I was doing. But I did intersect with a lot of physical pain that people had. Now, in hospice, most people that are, writing the last chapter of their lives, a lot of them don't have any physical pain. A lot of the dementias, there's maybe, I don't know how many kinds of dementia there are, but a lot of them just don't have physical pain with them. And a lot of the people we were taking care of had some type of dementia. They have other diseases, and some of them have cancer, and you did see some pain with the cancer, physical pain. But the types of pain I want to talk about in this series, and I'm only going to do this as an introduction today, but I'll try to list a few of them. Physical pain, of course, but then spiritual pain, emotional pain, relational pain, financial pain, existential pain. I'm missing two or three more, but I'll get to them over this series. But today I wanted to talk about this idea of what these other alternative or these other types of pains are. And I wanted to get to one of them maybe. Maybe we'll talk about relational pain. So you've got these other types of pain, and the door was open for this discussion by a name who gave her, a description of this book. Her name was Dame Cicely Saunders, and she was pretty much the main leader in hospice work in Great Britain. And I think her influence spilled over to America and helped get the hospice movement started here in America. And it's a fabulous place to be served and cared for when you're at the end of your life. And hospice come to your facility, wherever you're living, and they will give you a quality of life that's increased as you get closer to the end of your life. So I was very proud and very pleased to work with the hospice team, amazing people. But we dealt with pain. And I started learning that there's a whole lot more to pain than physical pain. So let's look at one of those types of pain today. I call it relational pain. Your relationships. And you notice at the end of life that people are anxious, they're worried. Have you talked to my daughter or talked to my son or called, the grandkids? Are they coming? Or sometimes relationships break. They don't function well, or they're dysfunctional, we sometimes say. And when you can help repair a relationship like that. I remember one time, I'll give you this example. A social worker and I got together. We had 4 or 5 social workers. And this one and I got together, and we kind of specialized in getting families back into the picture after there was a break, after there was a separation. And she would call the family, she'd call the son, she called anybody else in the family, and she would try to get them to come back into the picture and come back and support their loved one, in this case, their dad. This fella drove over with his 3 kids, uh, the man's grandkids. I don't even know if he knew him really. But he drove over from Tennessee over here to Lincoln, and he met with us in the Journey House, and he rekindled, he repaired that relationship. You'd be amazed at how many people at the end of life have regrets that they don't even really know how to describe or discuss, and they're embarrassed or shamed by them. But it causes a pain. It causes a troubled heart. It causes dis-ease. Not just dis-ease, but dis-ease. They're ill at ease. And so that social worker and I were able to get this man to spend time with his father. And they've been estranged for a long time. And it just never looked like they'd get back together. So we were able to repair that relationship. And I can go into a lot of depth about what that did for the man before he died, and what that did for his family before he died and after he died. But it gave a lot of clarity, a lot of hope, a lot of certainty, a lot of usefulness. You know, did I raise a family? Did I do a good job? Did I care about them? Did I love them? And a lot of repair to that. And in some cases, we all know we're not perfect, and we do some things that are wrong, bad, sometimes terrible. But this family was able to get back together. So that's a type of pain that we call relational pain. And I found a lot of solace, a lot of satisfaction in helping to heal that type of pain as a chaplain, as a caring part of that medical team. So this is something you should know, not only, for somebody that might be dying in your family or in your neighborhood or somebody you're friends with, but so that you can learn from it, so that you can understand how to diagnose these types of pain. If you've got broken relationships, you have relational pain, probably. You might try to ignore it, you might try to deny it, but you probably have it. And then you can start the healing process yourself. You don't have to wait till you're about to die to say, oh man, I wish I could get my family back together again. But you got to recognize this type of pain. This is relational pain. You got to recognize this. Anyway, we'll talk about financial pain later on. So much goes on with finances at the end of life, and it shouldn't wait till the end of life. We'll talk about spiritual pain. How are you and God doing? Or how are you and life and the universe doing? We'll talk about emotional pain. We'll talk about societal pain. We'll look at all of these holistically. Anyway, pain is not the enemy in your life. Pain may not seem like a friend, but pain may turn out to be a very, very good friend. So if you're experiencing physical pain and other types of pain that you hadn't given much thought to, now's a good time. Any time is a good time. You don't have to think about it. Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and maybe next time we'll look at financial pain. All right, see you later.